The body of Nemo is being shoved into a frigid cabinet in a shadowy morgue. He awakens out of the blue to see that he is drowning in his automobile, but shortly after, the scene switches back to him awakening in a bathtub to discover that a man had shot him. Later, he discovers himself in an odd capsule within a space station that has just exploded. Nemo awakens in a post-apocalyptic hospital where Dr. Feldman is keeping watch over him as he passes away once more. Feldman corrects Nemo, telling him the year is 2092 and that Nemo is truly 118 years old, despite Nemo's insistence that he is 34 years old and that it is 2009. He provides Nemo a mirror and a cutting-edge newspaper with moving photographs as proof, allowing Nemo to finally see himself as he really is, old and wrinkled. When Nemo shuts his eyes, he awakens at his old house with his gorgeous family. However, he refers to his children incorrectly because he feels out of place here. Nemo receives an envelope at that very moment, which he opens to reveal a photo of himself with a different family. Nemo loses consciousness once more and wakes up in another home, lying by the pool, as his children correct him for using inappropriate names. His wife Jean, who has come to check on him because he doesn't seem well, is here, along with the children from the image. Nemo doesn't pay attention to her when she says that his coworkers are here since he is focused on the television, where the news is depicting a vehicle accident on a bridge. Suddenly, everything starts to go backward, and Nemo finds himself on that bridge as a driver, with Anna standing next to him as his wife. They are following a truck when it explodes, just as he had seen on the news, and Nemo suddenly finds himself back in the futuristic hospital. Then it is revealed that Nemo is actually the last mortal man to have ever lived on Earth, and that no one has ever heard of him. The remainder of humanity has defeated mortality through the never-ending division of cells. They are no longer even irritable, and keeping a pet pig is a symbol of social standing. The public will vote on whether to allow Nemo to die naturally or keep him alive using new technology. At this point, everyone is following the news about Nemo as though it were a reality show. Nemo closes the window to exclude the flying camera from spying on him after giving it the finger. Feldman starts hypnotizing Nemo to ask him to attempt to remember how he got here since he wants to find some answers. When Nemo shuts his eyes, he sees himself in a spooky building where everyone is dressed same and shares a bedroom. Nemo panics at the sight and rushes outside to examine several signs, believing they are attempting to tell him something. Feldman instructs him to travel deeper back in his memories as a couple guards abruptly haul him back inside. Nemo is currently a little infant playing with the other babies before their birth. Everyone at that age is fully aware of their future, but the angels of oblivion place a touch on their lips just before birth to cause them to forget. Nemo, who is born with the ability to foresee every scenario that may ever arise, is the only one the angels forget to include. When the babies are given the opportunity to select their families, Nemo chooses a kind couple simply because the woman smells nice, and the man tells a charming tale about how he met his wife by bumping into her on the street, which he thinks was caused by the butterfly effect. Nemo has a happy childhood as his parents constantly make him feel cherished. Old Nemo awakens in the future to discover a reporter in his room. Visits are prohibited, but he knows a nurse who managed to get one in. He brought a vintage recorder from a museum to make Nemo feel more at ease, and he is now asking Nemo about life before immortality. Nemo starts by informing him about the previous society's ills, such as pollution, smoking, eating meat, and actual reproduction, before telling him his own tale. The first recollection is of Nemo as a young adult narrating instructional DVDs in a television studio. He discusses the origin of the cosmos and the idea of time, which causes him to reflect on what it was like to be a child and be able to see all the possibilities for the future. Every decision he must make is difficult, and every time he passes by one of the 3 most attractive women in the city, he imagines marrying them all. It's Jean, Elise, and Anna, who he's previously recognized from previous recollections. A woman carrying a child is inadvertently driven over by Nemo's father in one of his dreams. Nemo tries to rouse up his father, but it's too late. He's left the car parked incorrectly, and now it's hurtling downhill, crushing the mother and the child. Nemo tries to convince his mother that he can see the future, but she doesn't believe him and thinks he's just having déjà vu. The father is left in a very miserable mood. Upon seeing Anna during his first swimming class, Nemo becomes incredibly anxious and hides behind a door to watch her swim while feeling his love for her grow. Nemo jumps in the pool after everyone has left, but he can't swim because he missed the lesson. He abruptly awakens as an adult inside the sinking automobile, but he also notices the alternate reality in which Jean has saved him from the pool. The journalist is afterwards left perplexed by Nemo's tendency to contradict himself or nod off in the middle of a tale. The following memory has little Nemo following his mother into the forest, where he is horrified to learn that she is having an affair with a man named Harry. Nemo pursues Harry after his mother departs and is upset to learn that he is Anna's father. After that, Nemo's parents begin fighting constantly and eventually decide to seek a divorce. Later, Nemo's parents tell him at a train station that he must decide someone to live with. Nemo loves them both and is torn between choosing one or the other, but as the train pulls away, he can't help but go after it to find his mother. At first, he makes it and runs inside to find his mother, but shortly, he misses the train and his father is seen hugging him. Nemo's life is now divided into two distinct timelines. The journalist insists in the future that Nemo couldn't have lived both lives since she doesn't realize that all possibilities exist. Nemo develops into a moody, rebellious kid who has no companions while living with his mother. He occasionally attempts to startle his mother with cruel pranks like lying on the floor claiming to be dead with ketchup in place of blood, but she is used to his antics. Nemo scares away potential boyfriends whenever she attempts to bring one home by foretelling their demise, such as the time he told a man he'll be ran over by a train in a week. Nemo then jumps out of the window in defiance of his mother's reprimand even though she is aware that there is a roof outside and he is safe. When an older Anna joins Nemo's class the following day at school, Nemo finds he still likes her. When everyone arrives at the beach later, Anna invites him to join her in the water, but Nemo frightens her away by calling everyone an idiot. Nemo imagines a future in which his mature self bumps into Anna at the train station. However, she is married with children and just exchanges a fleeting hello before leaving. Teenager Nemo decides to amend his response and informs Anna that he is unable to swim after using a picture to recall the beach day once more. As a result of Anna's decision to keep him company, Nemo and Anna are now step-siblings, which has a significant impact on him in the future. Nemo's mother and Harry have also chosen to live together. Even though dinner is unpleasant, Anna keeps kissing him under the table. The two adolescents get into a bed to share after their parents go to sleep so they can spend the night being active. Nemo needs to cautiously tiptoe about the following morning as they must get ready for school in order to keep their parents from finding out what they are doing. When their parents refer to them as siblings, they retort that they are not really related. Nemo then leaps into the alternate reality, where his teenage self is caring for his father, who is now wheelchair-bound and suffering from memory issues. Nemo claims he has everything he needs here and refuses to phone his mother because she never called either. Nemo has to take care of everything, including cooking and giving the man baths. But every time he rides his bike outside, he yells into the void to get rid of his inner conflict. Writing science fiction stories is this Nemo's pastime, and the story is actually set in one of his alternate universes. In that future, every one of the crew is taken care of by machines while an adult Nemo is in cryosleep in a space station heading to Mars. Throwing a coin allows this teenage Nemo to make decisions. He makes the decision to attend the school dance one evening and arrives to discover Elise and her much older boyfriend Stefano causing a commotion. She experiences a panic attack in the midst of the dance floor, but she quickly gets to her feet, walks over to Nemo, and asks him to accompany her because she recalls him from their younger years. Nemo gives crying Elise outside some interesting information about Mars to keep her from crying. As a result, Elise challenges him to pledge that one day he will scatter her ashes on Mars. Nemo tries to kiss her, but Elise refuses, objecting that Nemo isn't a decent person for the way her mental issues compel her to behave. Nemo doesn't care and tries again, but Elise flees as soon as their lips touch. The memories abruptly shift to a different time frame once more. The television narrator Nemo is wed to Anna, and the two of them have a family together. After work, Nemo starts to leave, but as he gets to the road, he strikes an animal by mistake, and the car sinks into the water, implying that this is the memory of drowning from earlier and that here is where one of his many timelines ends. Feldman instructs Nemo to focus and stay in the timelines where he is alive while they are both in the hospital. Teenage Nemo and Anna are enjoying the time of their lives in the mother reality. When their parents leave, they begin to play around the home and act flirtatious on any surface they can find while professing their undying love for one another. Time jumps once more when that Nemo goes to sleep, and Nemo is now caring for his crippled father. Nemo decides to write a letter to Elise that night rather than finish his novel. Nemo visits Elise at her home the following morning only to discover that Stefano is still with her there. After being hurt and dissatisfied, Nemo tears away on his bike and crashes in the middle of the road. As soon as the ambulance arrives to take him to the hospital, Nemo wonders what may have occurred if he had made a different decision. Nemo is seen approaching Elise in the past after waiting for Stefano to leave. Elise declines his kiss and tells him she is in love with Stefano after receiving the love letter from him. When Nemo returns home after being let down, he promises his father that he will marry the first woman he dances with tonight. Later, at a different school dance, Nemo notices Elise with Stefano. To make Elise envious, he invites Jean to dance and kisses her right away. After the dance, Nemo takes Jean home with him on his bike as he vows to improve his life by getting a huge house, a pool, and a loving family. Jean believes Nemo's affections are genuine. In this timeline, Nemo gets married to Jean and starts a business. When he falls into the pool, two alternative outcomes occur. In one, Jean saves him, while in the other he drowns. Nemo, on the other hand, is constantly absent-minded and Jean can detect it. She discovers a letter that Nemo didn't remember writing, in which he complains that everything is predictable and that he is bored. Later, he touches a candle with his hand merely to feel it. Time travel occurs once more as teenage Nemo and Anna engage in some flirtatious behavior, but this time their parents arrive home early and catch them in the act. Even though the adults tell the teens that what they are doing is disgusting and that they are getting a divorce, the teenagers go to another room to avoid being reprimanded. Nemo is instructed by Anna to wait for her until they may eventually reunite at the lighthouse because she is aware that Harry is relocating to New York for a new career. Nemo agrees, and they say their final goodbyes by getting back to work. Nemo tries to chase after the car the night Anna drives off to stop it, but he loses sight of it and becomes confused by two bikes. The teenagers try to write to one another as the weeks go by, but their parents dispose of their letters before they even read them. Nemo grows up and eventually moves into an apartment in New York as a young adult. He is still thinking about Anna, who is still in New York and works as a pool cleaner. Timelines jump once again to reveal the space station as they get closer to their meeting. Here, as the crew begins to emerge from cryosleep, Nemo calls out Anna's name before being snatched up by the robots. Nemo mingles with the throng and strikes up conversations with new acquaintances after receiving a nice wash. The timeline swings to the unconscious Nemo wondering what may have occurred if he hadn't given up so quickly when he thinks about Mars and Elise. Rewinding to the moment Elise declares her love for Stefano, Nemo kisses her once again and forces her to choose him. In this timeline, Nemo weds Elise and works as a television narrator. They experience the bridge catastrophe in one future, while in the other, they buy a home and start a family. Elise, though, continues to struggle with mental illness and hardly ever gets out of bed. The kids are frustrated that their mother doesn't love them enough, and Nemo struggles to make them smile when things are tough. One day, Nemo is celebrating one of the children's birthdays. She finally gets out of bed, resolved to be a better mother, feeling awfully horrible when he goes to check on Elise. Everyone feels embarrassed when she enters the dance floor at first, but they soon catch on to her passion, and the youngsters join in. The family spends a very enjoyable afternoon together, which strengthens their closeness. That evening, everyone goes to bed at the same time. Nemo, though, comes upon Elise having a breakdown in the middle of the street the following day while it is raining. Nemo leads Elise home as the entire neighborhood is watching them and makes a promise to always look after her. While driving in this reality, Nemo and Anna cross paths, but there is no recognition. Speaking of Anna, when they run into one another at the station, Nemo and Anna finally reconcile their memories of the pool cleaner reality. They head over to Nemo's apartment right away to have some adult fun, but once they're done, Anna says they need to take it easy since she isn't ready to jump back into their relationship just yet because she had believed she had already lost him and is now terrified of love. In order to arrange a meeting at the lighthouse, Anna offers Nemo her phone number and instructs him to call her in 2 days. Anna's number is destroyed on the sheet of paper as it begins to rain after she has left. Old Nemo reveals that day's precipitation was caused by the butterfly effect in the wake of a Brazilian man who had just boiled an egg in the future. Young Nemo doesn't lose up and goes to the bench in front of the lighthouse every day to sleep there as he waits for Anna to arrive. He once felt her hand on his hair and awakens, but sadly it was just a dream. Nemo marks a circle around the location where he spotted her while still in despair. Then it's time to go back to Elise's past, where she is still experiencing emotional collapses. Nemo tells her that they were once cave people in a previous existence, and that he once protected her from a bear that was about to devour her. Nemo considers it his responsibility to save her from her own mind at this time. When pool cleaning Nemo walks by the facility's Nemo, who has been driving along the street, stops the automobile. He attempts to follow him after getting out of the automobile, but when he enters a strange structure, he discovers that helicopters are creating a beach from nothing. Feldman then asks him to recall again, and this time Nemo sees himself marrying Elise and getting into the bridge catastrophe. While Elise passes away, Nemo lives and has a scar on his face. Although he maintains Elise's ashes at home and works at documenting animals and plants decomposing, this Nemo never fully recovers from the psychological harm. In the version of reality where Elise is still alive, she complains to Nemo that he loves the car more than she does, so Nemo decides to burn the automobile to demonstrate his affection. The reality builders then move on, and Nemo finds himself back with Jean and her crying. She has discovered via their attorney that he has left all of his assets in Jean's name, which has led her to believe that he is up to something crazy. Nemo decides to live by the coin once more in order to feel something because he can no longer handle it any longer. He retrieves his old coin and leaves the house. Nemo travels to the airport and finds a man waiting for Mr. Jones after the coin warns him not to end things in front of a train. Nemo poses as Jones and is brought to a posh hotel where he makes every effort to appear just like the man on the ID. This is the scenario in which he is in the bathtub and, upon exiting, discovers a hitman who has shot him while mistaking him for Jones. He's buried in the middle of the forest, but ultimately the police uncover him, and Jean is forced to tearfully identify him. Suddenly, the timelines reverse, and Nemo, who is unconscious, witnesses how his parents come together to care for him. Additionally, he sees himself writing, which transports him to a period when he and the rest of the crew are traveling by ship to Mars. As it turns out, Nemo is following his pledge by dispersing Elise's ashes across the country in the timeline where she has passed away. Elise has another breakdown and confesses her continued love for Stefano in the timeline where she is still alive. Elise apologizes and responds with, "I love you," after Nemo hugs her and tells her he doesn't believe her. Elise, on the other hand, leaves her family silently when Nemo nods off. Little Nemo is currently watching Elise become a hairstylist in a figurative theater. Stefano runs into her again, but she doesn't recognize him, so there is no genuine reunion. Nemo learns that someone else, not him, was involved in the automobile accident in the timeline with the dead Elise. Nemo attends the funeral because the deceased was a co-worker, when he learns the man's widow is Anna. Nothing occurs after he approaches her to express his sorrow. A few days later, he visits Anna at her house and suggests they talk about losing a loved one. Anna declines because she is uncomfortable with the idea of a stranger approaching her. Nemo experiences a sudden vision of his own death in the sinking automobile, the bathtub, and the youngster in the coma. Then it cuts to the space station, where Nemo learns that Anna is also a crew member. However, before they have a chance to talk much, an asteroid shower hits the station, causing an explosion that kills everyone. Nemo now skips through a variety of memories as Feldman commands him to pay attention. Then he awakens in the strange facility once more, and when he exits, he sees a sign on a plane telling him to wake up rather than being apprehended. When Nemo goes to give his mother a hug, she rushes on him and starts fighting him since she doesn't recognize him and has a different child there. Suddenly, Nemo is in a straitjacket while a younger Feldman subjects him to a psychiatric test inside the facility, according to the memory. Nemo discovers a letter reading, "Nemo leave," after eating a fortune cookie at lunch. Nemo discovers in the future that the people have chosen to have him killed, but he doesn't care and returns to his tale. Nemo posts a letter inside the building instructing the man to leave immediately. As soon as he steps outside, he is bombarded with messages. A sign instructs him to read the news, a newspaper directs him to gaze at the end of the street, and finally, the Hollywood sign directs him to dial a particular number. When Nemo calls the number, he hears his father's voice but assumes it is a joke. Nemo then dashes to his abandoned former house. He locates a disc hidden beneath the clutter, inserts it into the DVD player, and hears a message from his former self. Old Nemo knows what young Nemo will say and responds accordingly. He also foresees that Nemo will trip over a broken chair. Then old Nemo reveals that Nemo was never born in this unusual world because of a variety of factors, including the possibility that his parents never met, that his seed never developed into an egg, or that his parents passed away when they were younger. Although old Nemo claims that Anna did some calculations and young Nemo must survive until 5:50 a.m. on February 12, 2092, young Nemo's mind is trapped in some type of limbo. Nemo witnesses a huge foot stamp on the building to demolish it as he escapes out of the house at that point. The future is portrayed once more when the facility physicians carry him away, and the journalist ends the recording at 5:41. Old Nemo reveals that neither of them nor the city actually exist, and that they are all the creations of a 9-year-old boy who is presented with an impossible decision. The man is very perplexed at this point. Kid Nemo is forced to make an impossible decision that day at the railway station. Therefore, all of these memories are him considering all alternative futures in order to make the right option. Since there is no such thing as a bad decision, young Nemo ultimately decides not to make one at all and flees from both parents. Old Nemo lies on his bed and says Anna's name on camera as he passes away as the future vision starts to fall apart. In the meantime, Anna and the adult Nemo, who is currently resting by the lighthouse, reconcile and give each other a hug. The universe suddenly stops, and every single timeline starts to reverse itself until it returns to the period when tiny Nemo was powerless to stop his parents from getting back together. This enables him to stay with Anna, and they can reverse skip rocks together throughout their youth.